How can one survive where the ground is frozen solid and the sun doesn't appear for months on end? It seems utterly impossible for anyone accustomed to a temperate climate in the cycle of day and night. But for the indigenous peoples of the Arctic, known as the Inuit, this has been an everyday, familiar reality for thousands of years. In this episode, we'll travel far north, beyond the Great Plains and the eastern woods, which we usually cover on our channel. We'll take a look inside one of the most amazing architectural solutions of ancient times, a snow shelter commonly known as an igloo. You'll learn about life under the polar night, where every breath is a struggle due to the biting cold. Watch the video to the end, and you'll discover how snow was transformed into warmth and endless darkness into a way of life. Guess how long it took to create this amazing dwelling from nothing? This snow shelter, known as an igloo, required incredible skill and a deep intuitive understanding of snow's properties from its builder. The indigenous peoples of the Arctic knew full well that not every type of snow is suitable for this purpose. Only very dense, compacted snow, hardened by wind and frost, was used to build sturdy walls. This snow possessed excellent thermal insulation properties due to microscopic air bubbles inside, and was strong enough to withstand significant loads. The Inuit could determine the quality of the snow by the sound of their footsteps or by the resistance it offered when tested with a special probe. Finding the right spot with suitable snow was the first and most important step in construction. The hunter carefully examined the snowdrifts, knowing that his family's survival in the harsh blizzard depended on this choice. The site was chosen based on protection from prevailing winds and proximity to likely seal hunting grounds. A mistake at this stage could cost the entire family their lives in the extreme cold. A special knife made of bone or reindeer antler was used to cut the building blocks. This knife was long, wide, and very sharp, allowing him to carefully cut out rectangular blocks of the desired size. Every movement of the hunter had been perfected by generations of ancestors, for in the conditions of the polar night, one cannot waste a single ounce of energy. The hunter carved blocks directly from the snow beneath his feet, gradually sinking deeper into the snowdrift. This allowed him to simultaneously obtain building material and create the floor of the future dwelling below the level of the surrounding surface. The blocks were laid with precision, forming a perfect circle. Construction began with the laying of the first row of blocks. This row was not straight but was laid in a spiral, which was a brilliant engineering solution of antiquity. The spiral layout allowed each subsequent block to rest on the previous ones, requiring no additional supports or complex framework. The blocks were laid with a slight, precisely calculated inward slope, gradually forming a sturdy dome. This required high precision, a keen eye, and an understanding of weight distribution from the builder. Each new turn of the spiral brought the dome's construction closer to completion. The igloo's dome shape was no accident. It was ideally suited for the harsh Arctic conditions. First, the dome was extremely resistant to strong, gusty winds, which simply flowed over its streamlined surface. Second, this shape ensured even heat distribution inside the small space. The inner surface area of the dome was minimal relative to its volume, which helped maximize the retention of precious heat. This is an example of humanity's ideal adaptation to an extreme environment. In such a dwelling, there were no corners where cold air could accumulate. Each block was carefully fitted to the adjacent one using a bone knife. The gaps between the blocks were neatly filled with loose snow from the outside, which quickly froze in the cold. This process turned the dome into a virtually monolithic, airtight structure. This provided complete protection from the biting wind and icy air. The hunter worked quickly but carefully, understanding the importance of every step. Under the conditions of the polar night, the speed of construction was of decisive, vital importance. A small opening was always left at the top of the dome for ventilation. This was absolutely necessary for the inflow of fresh air and the removal of combustion products from the lamp. The size of this opening was adjusted depending on the temperature inside and the wind strength outside. If the opening was too large, heat escaped quickly. If too small, the air became heavy and damp. Experience allowed the hunter to maintain the perfect balance. If necessary, the opening could be plugged with a lump of snow or a piece of fur. Inside the dwelling, spacious snow platforms were constructed for sleeping and resting. These platforms took up most of the space and were covered with a thick layer of animal skins. Caribou or polar bear skins provided excellent insulation from the cold snow. Gradually, from the heat of the fat lamp and the people's breath, the inner surface of the dome melted. The snow turned into a smooth, icy crust, which made the structure even more durable and airtight. This dwelling was a temporary but surprisingly reliable shelter. We see that building an igloo is not just a means of survival, but a complex technological process. Every detail, from the shape of the blocks to the design of the entrance, was carefully thought out and grounded in centuries of experience living in the far north. This is a striking example of how humans can use the harshest conditions to their advantage. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this unique skill. Could you build such a shelter if you knew these principles? Share your thoughts in the comments below this video, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss new fascinating stories about the lives and traditions of the indigenous peoples of North America. What would happen if I showed you a time machine that could transport you to the warmest place in the Arctic? Inside the snow dome, despite the extreme cold outside, there was a surprising atmosphere of warmth and relative comfort. The only and main source of light and heat in the igloo was a blubber lamp, which the Inuit called a kullik. It consisted of a flat, oblong bowl carved from soft soapstone. Melted blubber from marine mammals, most often seals or whales, was poured into this bowl. Dried moss or plant fluff laid along the smooth edge of the bowl served as the wick. This lamp burned continuously day and night, illuminating the dwelling with a soft, warm yellow light. The kullik required constant, careful attention and skill. The woman in the igloo made sure the fat in the bowl did not run out and that the wick burned evenly without producing soot. She carefully adjusted the wick with a special bone stick, regulating the intensity of the flame and the heat. Knowing how to handle this lamp properly was one of the most important skills for a woman in the Arctic. The well-being, health, and very survival of the entire family during the long polar night depended directly on this skill. The lamp was the heart of the home, and extinguishing it was considered a bad omen. In addition to light, this simple lamp provided enough heat to raise the temperature inside the igloo well above freezing. The temperature difference between inside the dome and outside could reach several dozen degrees. Warm air from the lamp rose toward the dome, creating a comfortable temperature zone on the sleeping platforms. People stayed inside the dwelling with minimal outer clothing to avoid overheating. This was a striking contrast to the icy, lifeless desert beyond the snow walls. The kullik transformed the icy cave into a living home. Seal blubber was the ideal, readily available fuel for the harsh Arctic conditions. It burned for a long time, gave off a lot of heat, and with proper care of the lamp, had virtually no pungent odor. The smell of melted blubber was a familiar, comforting scent of home, coziness, and safety for the inhabitants of the far north. Without this reliable source of energy, life in the snowy shelter would have been completely impossible. Seal hunting provided the family not only with high-calorie food, but also with vital warmth. Every drop of blubber was worth its weight in gold. The inner surface of the igloo, covered with a crust of ice, reflected the soft light of the lamp, making the small space brighter. The humidity inside was high, which helped retain the inhabitants' body heat. People sat on animal skins, going about their daily business in this confined space of the dome. The snow dome created a sense of security and separated the world of warmth from the world of eternal, deadly cold. It was a place where human life triumphed over the harshness of nature every day. Animal skins on the walls added insulation and coziness. The long, low entrance tunnel reliably protected the living space from the biting Arctic wind. The wind raging outside could not penetrate the dwelling thanks to the tunnel's curved shape and low entrance. This was a key, well-thought-out architectural element for retaining heat inside the dome. The family could sleep peacefully on the raised platform, knowing that the icy blizzard would not break into their warm refuge. Architecture and physics worked together to ensure human survival. The entrance was often covered with a heavy animal hide. A special rack, made of animal bones or wood, was often suspended above the fat lamp. Wet clothes and shoes were carefully laid out on this rack after hunting or working outdoors. This was extremely important, as dry clothing was the main way to retain body heat in extreme cold. The heat from the lamp effectively handled this drying task. Caring for clothing was just as important, a daily part of life as cooking. Wet shoes could cause serious problems. During severe, prolonged cold spells, the kuluk burned especially brightly, warming all the inhabitants. The family gathered around the lamp, sharing warmth, food, and stories. It was the heart of the home, a gathering place for all its inhabitants in the darkness. The light from this simple lamp was a powerful symbol of hope and life in the endless darkness of the polar night. It served as a reminder that even in the harshest, most inhuman conditions, a person can create their own little world of warmth. The lamp's light was never to be allowed to go out. The heat from the kuluk was also used to prepare hot food. A pot was suspended over the lamp's flame, in which snow was melted to produce clean drinking water. It was also used to slowly simmer seal, reindeer, or fish caught by hunters. It was a slow process, but it provided hot, nutritious food. Food was the source of the energy the body needed to constantly fight the cold. Hot soup warmed them from the inside. The kuluk was not merely a household item, but a sacred symbol of the hearth for the Inuit. As the keeper of the fire, the woman enjoyed immense respect and authority within the family. Caring for the lamp was her primary responsibility and her contribution to the group's survival in the Arctic. In the next chapter, you'll learn how people coped with this terrible weather behind the walls of snow. Are you ready to find out the answer to this question? And you've definitely never heard of this unique secret. In the endless polar night, seal hunting was the only and primary way to feed the family. This required incredible patience, endurance, and a thorough knowledge of the animal's habits from the Inuit. A hunter could stand motionless on the ice near a seal's breathing hole for hours, and sometimes even entire days, in complete darkness. Seals, being mammals, need air and periodically rise to the surface of the ice to breathe. The hunter waited for this moment, guided only by the sound of splashing water or a slight movement of air. A successful harpoon throw in the dark was the result of years of practice and intuition. A mistake meant starvation for the entire family. A successful hunt was a joyous occasion for the entire camp, but it also imposed strict obligations. The catch never belonged to just one hunter or his family. According to an ancient Arctic law, the seal meat was divided among all the camp's inhabitants according to strictly defined rules. Everyone received their share, and no one could be deprived of food in those harsh times. This custom was the foundation of the indigenous people's survival in extreme conditions, where a lone individual was doomed to perish. The distribution of the catch was an important ritual that strengthened social bonds within the community. Butchering the seal was the women's responsibility and required great skill and knowledge of the animal's anatomy. Using bone knives, they quickly and carefully removed the skin, separated the fat, and cut the meat into portions. The seal skin was a valuable material for making waterproof clothing, footwear, and boat covers. The bones were used to make tools, weapons, and household items. Nothing was wasted. Each animal provided the Inuit with everything necessary for survival. This reflected a deep respect for nature and its gifts. Inside the igloo, the meat was most often cooked in a pot over a fire pit. The resulting hot stew was an excellent way to warm up and regain strength after a long time in the cold. They ate together, sitting on skins around the pot, using bone spoons or simply their hands. Mealtime was a time for socializing, sharing news, and strengthening family bonds. In these moments, people forgot about the darkness and cold outside the walls of their snow house. Food was a symbol of life and hope for the coming day. Hunting during the polar night was fraught with enormous risk to life. A hunter could get lost in the darkness, fall through the ice, or encounter a polar bear. Therefore, they often hunted in groups, helping and watching out for one another in dangerous situations. Knowledge of the terrain, the starry sky, and animal behavior was passed down from father to son, ensuring the continuity of generations. Every time they ventured onto the ice was a test of endurance and courage. The Arctic did not forgive mistakes. During the polar night, the Inuit also hunted muskoxen and caribou if they wandered into their territory. But the seal remained the primary and most reliable source of food and fat for most coastal communities. Seal hunting required special equipment, such as harpoons with detachable tips and long straps made of walrus skin. All of this was crafted by hand from local materials with great skill. These were weapons tested by centuries. Life in the snowy refuge was entirely governed by the rhythms of the hunt and the state of the ice cover. Success or failure on the hunt determined the mood and well-being of the entire community throughout the long winter. But the Inuit never despaired and always believed in their luck and the help of the spirits. Their resilience, optimism, and ability to find joy in life under the harshest conditions are truly admirable. Like this video if you're inspired by the strength of spirit of these people surviving in the extreme conditions of the Arctic. Want to know a secret that will change your life and make you appreciate every ray of sunshine? The polar night is not just the absence of sunlight, it is a powerful psychological test for anyone. The endless darkness, lasting for months, put intense pressure on the Inuit's psyche, causing feelings of anxiety and hopelessness. The confined space of the igloo, the constant cold, and the monotony of life could lead to depression and conflicts within the family. To cope with this, the Inuit developed many ways to maintain morale and emotional balance. It was an invisible battle for the survival of the mind. Family and community were the main pillars in the fight against the psychological pressure of the darkness. Inside the igloo, people were never alone, always feeling the support and warmth of their loved ones. Time was spent socializing, telling stories, singing songs, and playing the tambourine. These activities helped distract them from gloomy thoughts and created an atmosphere of celebration and joy in the snow house. Laughter and merriment were the best remedy for the blues and despondency during the long Arctic winter. Sleep was another way to cope with psychological stress during the polar night. The Inuit could sleep for long periods, restoring their strength and conserving energy in conditions of food scarcity. Dreams were considered an important source of information and could contain clues from spirits about the future or hunting grounds. Shamans knew how to interpret dreams and use them in their practice to help people. Sleep was a time of rest for the body and soul. The Inuit also believed in the existence of spirits inhabiting the Arctic and influencing people's lives. They performed rituals and made offerings to appease the spirits and ensure good luck in hunting and protection from illness. Shamans served as intermediaries between the human world and the spirit world, possessing the ability to heal and predict the future. Belief in supernatural forces gave the Inuit a sense of security and hope in the endless darkness of the polar night. It helped them overcome fear and uncertainty in the face of the harsh natural environment. During the polar night, the Inuit also held festivals and competitions, gathering together with residents of other camps. This was a time for socializing, exchanging news, arranging marriages, and strengthening social bonds. The festivals were accompanied by songs, dances, games, and lavish feasts. These events helped people feel part of a large and strong community capable of withstanding any of the Arctic's hardships. They filled people with energy and optimism for the long months of darkness. Life in the igloo required strict discipline and adherence to social norms from the Inuit. In such a confined space, it was important to avoid conflicts and maintain harmonious relationships among all family members. Everyone knew their duties and carried them out without complaint for the common good. Respect for elders, care for children, and mutual aid formed the foundation of social organization and survival in extreme conditions. This was the ethic of survival in a confined space. The psychological pressure of the darkness was a serious ordeal, but the Inuit learned to cope with it by drawing on the strength of their culture, faith, and community. Their experience of surviving the polar night is a lesson in courage, resilience, and optimism for all of humanity. In the next chapter, you'll learn how they coped with this terrible weather outside the walls. Which of these survival skills do you think remain relevant today? All family members, young and old, knew their specific duties and carried them out without complaint, understanding the importance of their contribution. Respect for elders was unquestioning, as they were the guardians of the priceless experience and wisdom of generations. Caring for children was a shared responsibility, and they grew up in an atmosphere of love, support, and constant learning. Evenings inside the igloo were a time for socializing, when the whole family gathered around the kulik oil lamp. It was a time for telling fascinating stories, legends, and myths passed down from generation to generation. The elders shared their hunting experiences, talked about the habits of animals, and spoke of the spirits inhabiting the Arctic. Games were another popular way to pass the time inside the igloo, helping to keep minds and hands occupied in the confined space. They were not only entertainment, but also a way to train the agility, strength, and quick thinking necessary for hunting and survival. Many games were team-based, fostering cooperation and mutual aid. Toys were made from bone, stone, and leather, depicting animals, people, and household objects. From an early age, children learned important skills and traditions of their people through play. Games helped keep spirits high. Mutual aid and exchange formed the foundation of Inuit social organization, helping them survive in the harsh Arctic environment. If one family ran out of food, others would always share their catch with them. This custom was not merely an act of kindness, but a matter of survival in extreme conditions. Exchanging food, clothing, and tools helped people feel part of a large and strong community. It was a social safety net, tested by centuries of survival in the polar night. A lone individual had no chance of survival. Mental balance during the polar night was also maintained through contemplation and reflection. The Inuit could sit motionless for hours, watching the flame of a lamp or listening to the sounds of the wind outside. They learned to find beauty in simple things and to rejoice in everyday lived. Meditation and prayer helped them find inner peace and the strength to overcome the challenges of the Arctic. Belief in spirits and the help of ancestors gave them hope and confidence in the future. This was a philosophy of survival in the darkness. Mental well-being during the polar night depended on people's ability to adapt to changing conditions and find joy in the little things. The Inuit possessed remarkable resilience, optimism, and the ability to maintain a cheerful spirit even in the most difficult situations. Their experience of survival in the Arctic is a lesson in wisdom and courage for all of humanity. Studying their culture helps us better understand ourselves and our potential. This is a story about the strength of the human spirit. Information worth millions awaits you in this chapter, dedicated to the secrets of Arctic sleep. Sleep inside an Inuit snow shelter was a very special, vital process, governed by the rhythms of the harsh Arctic wilderness. In the conditions of the endless polar night, when the boundary between day and night blurred, sleep became the primary way to conserve precious energy and restore strength. The Inuit could sleep for long periods, sometimes 12 or more hours a day, sinking into a state of deep rest. The warmth from the kulik oil lamp and the closeness of loved ones on the sleeping platform created comfortable conditions for sleep even when it was bitterly cold outside. Sleep was a time of rest for the body and mind. Dreams held an important place in Inuit spiritual culture, considered a channel of communication with the spirit world and ancestors. They believed that during sleep, a person's soul could travel to other worlds, communicate with deities, and receive important messages. Dreams could contain clues about future hunting grounds, warnings of danger, or advice on treating illnesses. Interpreting dreams was an important duty of shamans who possessed the ability to penetrate the mysteries of the subconscious. Dreams were part of reality, not merely a figment of the imagination. Shamans used dreams in their practice to heal the sick, predict the future, and communicate with nature spirits. They could induce prophetic dreams through special rituals, chants, and drumming. Dreams helped shamans find lost souls, appease angry spirits, and ensure the well-being of the entire community. Belief in the power of dreams gave the Inuit a sense of security and hope in the endless darkness of the polar night. It helped them overcome fear and uncertainty in the face of the harsh Arctic wilderness. Sleeping inside the igloo required adherence to certain rules and traditions, passed down from generation to generation. The family slept together on a spacious snow platform covered with a thick layer of caribou or polar bear skins. While sleeping in the igloo, the temperature was often kept low to prevent the snow dome from melting and soot from forming on the lamp. People slept huddled closely together under warm skins, warming each other with their breath. Deep sleep helped the body conserve the energy needed to fight the cold. The ability to sleep in extreme conditions was a vital survival skill passed down from father to son. Sleep was a time to regain strength before facing new challenges. Dreams could also be a source of inspiration for the Inuit, manifesting in their art, myths, and songs. Images from dreams were often depicted in bone carvings, embroidery on clothing, and designs on drums. Songs heard in dreams were considered sacred and could be used in rituals and celebrations. Dreams enriched Inuit culture, adding elements of mystery and spirituality. They were part of their inner world, hidden from prying eyes. During the polar night, sleep was not merely rest but a means of survival, helping the Inuit overcome physical and psychological hardships. The ability to fall into a deep sleep and have prophetic dreams was an important part of their adaptation to the extreme conditions of the Arctic. Studying their experiences with sleep and dreaming helps us better understand the capabilities of the human body and mind. This is a story about the power of the subconscious. The Inuit spiritual world was inextricably linked to the harsh Arctic nature surrounding them, full of mysteries and dangers. They believed that all objects, animals, and natural phenomena possessed a soul, or Inuak, which demanded respect and reverence from humans. Failure to observe taboos or showing disrespect toward the spirits could result in famine, illness, or hunting failures. Belief in supernatural forces gave the Inuit a sense of control over their lives amid uncertainty and fear in the face of the elements. They strove to live in harmony with the spirit world, observing the ancient traditions of their people. Shamans, or Angakuk, occupied a central place in the spiritual life of the Inuit, serving as intermediaries between the human world and the spirit world. They possessed the ability to enter a trance, travel to other worlds, communicate with deities, and heal illnesses. A shaman was often chosen through prophetic dreams, visions, or trials. Shamans enjoyed immense respect and authority in the community, serving as healers, prophets, and protectors against evil forces. Their knowledge and skills were vital for human survival in the extreme conditions of the Arctic. Shamanism was a form of spiritual healing. Rituals were an important part of shamanic practice, used for various purposes, ensuring a successful hunt, healing the sick, predicting the future, and warding off evil spirits. They were often accompanied by songs, dancing to the beat of a drum, wearing masks, and the use of sacred objects. During a ritual, the shaman would enter a trance, communicate with spirits, and receive instructions or assistance from them. These events brought the entire community together, creating an atmosphere of mystery and spiritual unity. The rituals helped people feel a connection with higher powers. The Inuit also believed in the existence of evil spirits capable of harming people and animals. They used various charms, amulets, and incantations to protect themselves from these forces. Shamans performed special rituals to purify homes and people of negative energy. Observing taboos and rules of conduct during the polar night was another way to avoid the wrath of evil spirits and ensure the community's safety. Belief in supernatural forces helped the Inuit overcome fear and uncertainty in the endless darkness. It was a system of spiritual protection. Respect for animals was the foundation of Inuit hunting ethics, dictated by a belief in their spiritual essence. Before hunting, they performed rituals to ask forgiveness from the animal spirit and appease the spirits of nature. After a successful hunt, the meat was shared among all the camp's inhabitants, and the bones and hide were treated with great reverence. Failure to follow the rules for handling the game could incur the wrath of the spirits and bring misfortune in the future. This was a profound respect for life in all its forms. Inuit myths and legends told of the origins of the world, animals and humans, of heroes' exploits, and of the rules of life in the Arctic. These stories were passed down from generation to generation, preserving the people's cultural heritage. They taught the youth wisdom, patience, and respect for traditions. Many myths were connected to nature spirits and supernatural forces inhabiting the Arctic. Storytelling was a way of passing on knowledge and spiritual values. The Inuit spiritual world was rich and diverse, reflecting their unique experience of life in the extreme conditions of the Arctic. Belief in spirits, shamanic rituals, and adherence to traditions helped them overcome the hardships of the polar night and find meaning in life amidst the darkness. Studying their spiritual culture helps us better understand the capabilities of the human mind and psyche in extreme situations. This is a story about the power of faith. During the polar night, when hunting was difficult, the Inuit devoted much of their time to handicrafts, making clothing, tools, and household items inside the igloo. Women sewed warm and beautiful clothing from animal skins, decorating it with beads and embroidery. Men carved animal figurines, hunting gear, and ornaments from bone and stone. These activities were not only practical, but also helped keep minds and hands occupied, relieving boredom and apathy. Creativity was a means of self-expression and maintaining emotional balance. Making clothing was an important duty for women, requiring great skill and knowledge of traditions. They used caribou, seal, and polar bear skins, sewing them together with animal sinew using bone needles. Inuit clothing was perfectly adapted to the harsh Arctic conditions, providing warmth and protection from wind and moisture. It was often decorated with patterns reflecting the cultural identity of the people. Caring for clothing was an important part of daily life inside the igloo. The men crafted hunting gear, tools, and weapons from bone, stone, and wood. They carved harpoon tips, knives, skin scrapers, and other items necessary for survival. Men also crafted sleds, skis, and boats in preparation for the upcoming hunting and migration season. These activities required precision, patience, and knowledge of the material's properties. Creativity was a way of preparing for future challenges. During the polar night, the Inuit also repaired and maintained their belongings. They mended clothing, sharpened tools, and checked hunting gear. These activities helped maintain order and readiness for action in any situation. Caring for belongings was an important part of discipline and organization within the igloo. It was preparation for spring. Handicrafts were not only an individual activity, but also a form of communication and exchange of experience within the family. Women taught girls to sew clothes and decorate them, while men passed on to boys the skills of making tools and weapons. These activities fostered family unity and the preservation of the people's cultural traditions. They filled life inside the igloo with meaning and the joy of creativity. This was preparation for the future. The creation of art objects was an important part of Inuit culture, reflecting their unique experience of life in the Arctic. They carved figures of animals, people, and mythological creatures from bone and stone. Many of these objects had sacred significance and were used in rituals and festivals. Creativity was a way to communicate with the spirit world and express one's inner world. It was a spiritual preparation for spring. During the polar night, the Inuit also made toys for children, helping them develop dexterity, strength, and quick thinking. The toys were made of bone, stone, and leather, depicting animals, people, and household objects. Many games were team-based, fostering cooperation and mutual aid. Games helped maintain a lively spirit within the igloo. It was preparation for life. Creativity was a means of survival during the polar night, helping the Inuit overcome physical and psychological hardships. The ability to create beautiful and useful things with their own hands was an important part of their adaptation to the extreme conditions of the Arctic. Studying their experience with handicrafts and art helps us better understand the capabilities of the human mind and psyche in extreme situations. This is a story about the power of creativity. The pre-contact period in the Arctic was a time when the Inuits' lives depended entirely on the harsh nature surrounding them and their own survival skills. They had no access to modern technologies, tools, or materials that would have made their lives easier in extreme conditions. The Inuit relied on ancient traditions, knowledge, and the experience of their ancestors, passed down from generation to generation. Their culture was perfectly adapted to the Arctic, providing them with everything necessary to live and thrive during the polar night. It was an era of self-sufficiency. In the pre-contact period, the Inuit led a nomadic lifestyle, following the migrations of animals, which were their main source of food and materials. They lived in small communities consisting of several families, united by kinship ties and mutual aid. Igloos served as their temporary shelters during the polar night, providing warmth and protection from the harsh Arctic conditions. Life was full of hardships, but also of joys associated with successful hunts, the birth of children, and celebrations. It was a culture of survival. The social organization of the Inuit in the pre-contact period was based on the principles of equality, mutual aid, and respect for elders. They had no centralized authority, leaders, or laws in the modern sense. Decisions were made collectively through discussion and consensus. The experience and wisdom of the community's elders were held in the highest regard. This system ensured stability and harmony within the confined space of the polar night. It was an ethic of cooperation. In the pre-contact period, the Inuit spiritual world was rich and diverse, reflecting their deep connection to nature and belief in supernatural forces. Shamans played a key role in the community's spiritual life, serving as intermediaries between the human world and the spirit world. Rituals and festivals were an important part of the culture, helping people overcome the hardships of the polar night and find meaning in life amidst the darkness. Myths and legends passed down the cultural heritage of the people. It was a belief in spirits. In the pre-contact period, the Inuit engaged in handicrafts, making clothing, tools, and household items from local materials. Women sewed warm and beautiful clothing from animal skins, decorating it with beads and embroidery. Men carved animal figurines, hunting gear, and ornaments from bone and stone. These activities required skill, patience, and knowledge of traditions. Creativity was a means of self-expression and preserving cultural identity. It was a culture of creativity. In the pre-contact period, the Inuit also held festivals and competitions, gathering together with residents of other camps. It was a time for socializing, exchanging news, arranging marriages, and strengthening social ties. Festivals were accompanied by songs, dances to the beat of a drum, games, and lavish feasts. These events helped people feel part of a large and strong community capable of withstanding any of the Arctic's hardships. It was a culture of celebration. Inuit life in the pre-contact period was full of hardships, but also of joys associated with successful hunts, the birth of children, and celebrations. Their culture was perfectly adapted to the Arctic, providing them with everything necessary to live and thrive in the polar night. Studying their survival experience helps us better understand the capabilities of the human mind and psyche in extreme situations. This is a story about the strength of the human spirit. The story of the Inuit's survival in the endless darkness of the polar night is not merely a chronicle of the past, but a powerful source of wisdom and inspiration for the modern world. Their unique experience of adapting to the extreme conditions of the Arctic holds valuable lessons about resilience, courage, optimism, and the strength of the human spirit. In the face of global climate change, social upheaval, and psychological pressure, the lessons of the Arctic can help us find answers to many of today's challenges. Studying Inuit culture helps us better understand ourselves and our potential. This is a story about the strength of humanity. The resilience and optimism of the Inuit during the polar night are a lesson in courage and hope for all of humanity. They have learned to find joy in simple things, to cherish every day lived, and to maintain a cheerful spirit even in the most difficult situations. Their experience of survival reminds us that humans possess an amazing ability to overcome any difficulty if they maintain faith in themselves and the support of their loved ones. This is the philosophy of survival in the darkness. Mutual aid and community were the foundation of the Inuit social organization and survival in the Arctic. Their experience reminds us of the importance of cooperation, solidarity, and caring for others in the modern world, where selfishness and competition often prevail. We can learn from them to build more harmonious and just relationships based on respect, trust, and mutual aid. This is the ethic of cooperation. Respect for nature and its gifts was the foundation of the Inuits' hunting ethics and their relationship with the environment. Their experience of survival reminds us of the importance of environmental awareness, sustainable resource use, and the preservation of biodiversity in the modern world, where exploitation and the destruction of nature often prevail. We can learn from them to live in harmony with the world around us, upholding the ancient traditions of our people. This is environmental ethics. The spiritual world of the Inuit was rich and diverse, reflecting their deep connection to nature and their belief in supernatural forces. Their experience reminds us of the importance of spirituality, inner peace, and the search for meaning in life in a modern world where materialism and secularization often prevail. We can learn from them to find solace and strength in faith, meditation, and communion with higher powers. This is spiritual ethics. Creativity was a means of survival and self-expression for the Inuit during the polar night. Their experience reminds us of the importance of art, craftsmanship, and innovation in a modern world often dominated by standardization and conformism. We can learn from them to find joy in creativity, develop our talents, and contribute to the cultural heritage of our people. This is aesthetic ethics. The lessons of the Arctic for the modern world are a story about the power of the human spirit, capable of overcoming any hardship and finding joy in life even under the most difficult conditions. Studying Inuit culture helps us better understand the capabilities of the human mind and psyche in extreme situations. This is a story about the power of humanity. They are tangible evidence of incredible human resilience, ingenuity, and profound wisdom in the face of mortal danger. The Inuit have shown us that life can thrive even where nature seems utterly hostile. They have demonstrated that survival in extreme conditions depends not on technology, but on strength of spirit, community, mutual aid, and respect for traditions. The experience of the Arctic's indigenous peoples is a harsh lesson in the importance of appreciating simple things: warmth, light, food, and connection with loved ones. Within a snow dome, illuminated by the faint glow of a lamp, the true strength of the human spirit was born. This is a lesson for all of us. What do you think about these amazing survival methods in the Arctic? Which of these inventions or customs did you find the most ingenious, or conversely, the most desperate, under the conditions of the polar night? Suggest topics in the comments for future videos you'd like to see on our channel. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss new fascinating episodes about the lives of the indigenous peoples of North America.